All right, so we're gonna make this quick because I have to pee and I really don't want this video to drag on longer than it needs to. But I wanna use this video to use this opportunity to talk about why I love my car. It has been basically about 2 months since I bought my dream car, which is a 2022 Tesla Model 3. I have wanted this for quite a while now, and I'm just really thankful that I am able to get that. If you didn't know, I run a few other YouTube channels, and if it weren't for what I am doing on YouTube, I would not be able to purchase this car. It's not an obscenely expensive vehicle by any means. If you look at the average, car purchase price, it's well within that range. So it's not completely, abnormal to get a vehicle around this price point here. But just for me, this vehicle is just a symbol of being able to get my dream car, something that I've aspired for quite a while, something that I've worked towards for quite a while, and being able to do it completely from what I've been able to do and built on YouTube. So I'm really proud of myself for that. But all of that stuff aside, let's use this video to talk about what it's like having a 2022 Tesla Model 3, but even on a more broad sense, what it's like driving your dream car for about 2 months. So if you're new here, my name is Arnell. This is Range Anxiety, where we talk about EV cars, EV ownership, and the pros and cons of driving an EV. So if that is something that you're interested in, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss more videos like this. And let me know what your dream car is. Whether it's an EV or not, I would be curious to have some discussions with you guys down below of what your dream cars are, why you like them, why you're working towards them, or if you are currently driving your dream car, what that experience has been like. Okay, so let's talk about what this vehicle is. So as I said, it's a 2022 Tesla Model 3. It is in the red multi-coat paint. This is the base standard rear-wheel drive. So it has one motor. It is not the Performance, although it sort of looks like that with the wheel covers and the spoiler that I have added on to it, which really sort of gives it a sportier vibe than what it looked like before. It just kind of looked normal and sort of just common to see down the road. So for me, I'm really happy with some of the accessories that I've put on just to kind of help elevate some of its looks. But as I've said, this is the base model. So this has the one motor. It does 0 to 60 in 6 seconds, I think, maybe a little bit more than 6 seconds. But it is the fastest car that I've ever owned. So it is by no means impressive. The dual motor, which isn't even the Performance, does 0 to 60 in like 4 seconds, or maybe just under 4 seconds. And then of course the Performance is just under 3, or maybe it's 3.1. So yeah, the Performance is literally twice as fast as this car. But that said, I didn't necessarily purchase this car or have aspired to get this particular vehicle because of its performance capabilities. I've aspired to get this vehicle because this is the perfect example of what an EV should be, in my opinion. So why I love this car and what I've really come to appreciate after owning it for 2 months is the very easy charging system, the very easy charging setup. So I exclusively charge this on the Tesla mobile connector, which allows me to charge it by level 1 charging or level 2 charging. We have used level 1 charging for quite some time, and we were able to actually go ahead and put in a 240 volt outlet in our garage. And so now we're using exclusively level 2 charging with the mobile connector. But for $300, we have our whole charging situation, well, not including the cost of the installation of the outlet in the garage, but for $300 for the charger, the connector itself, we have our whole charging situation all sort of figured out. So when we're charging at home, we have great fast speeds with the level 2 charging, 0 to 100%, not that we ever drain it all the way down to 0 anyways, or charge it all the way up to 100%. Well, actually, I'll get to that in a second. But 0 to 100% could be done virtually overnight for us. Basically plug in when you get home and then you unplug when you are ready to leave in the morning. And so depending on when you get home from work and stuff like that, you could have 12 to 13 hours of charging. For us, we usually plug in almost every night. Sometimes we'll forget and we'll plug in every 2 to 3 nights or something like that. So we're usually charging it from half to full. And we're able to do that in about 2 to 3 hours, maybe 4 hours on a long stretch. So we have plenty of time to be able to charge, and it's so convenient to be able to charge at home. This isn't my first electric car. As you may know, I do have a Nissan, well, I had a Nissan Leaf before I got this one, and the Leaf was great. It was I've described it as the perfect entry-level EV. That way you're just kind of able to get into the world of electrification without having to spend a whole lot and learn a whole lot about whole ecosystem and everything like that. So if you just do simple around town commutes, the Nissan Leaf is great. But the Tesla Model 3 is vastly superior in virtually every way from an objective specification standpoint. I mean, all of the included features are just fantastic. But all of that said, being able to charge from home has been really convenient and very cheap. So charging the Model 3, I think was about $35, $40 for the whole month in electricity. And so some people might hear, oh, okay, $40 added to your electric bill. Wow, that's expensive. I'm also not spending $150 on gas that I was spending when I had my Camry, for example. So because electricity is relatively cheap where I am, that's what makes this so much more economical. Of course, if I were somewhere else that just charges a lot more for electricity at home, or if I were like living in an apartment or I just didn't have access to charging at home, well, then this would be very expensive to operate. In my case, though, I think it would still technically be cheaper if I were public charging all the time versus charging at home compared to gas. However, that's just an extra added expense and just time wasted just sitting at a charger all the time or like once a week to do that. So it just, for me, I'm very glad that I'm able to charge at home. It makes it that much more economical and made this purchase and just the ability to get this that much easier and better than if it were a non-electric vehicle, because if it were just a regular gas vehicle, where there's so much more maintenance, the cost of gas is that much more expensive to run and operate and everything like that. Financially, it just wouldn't have made sense to get some performance vehicle that in my particular case. So all that aside, moving on from that, let's talk about the actual driving dynamics and just the overall size of the vehicle and just if I'm happy with the vehicle. So from a size perspective, it is perfect. It is fantastic. So this is my sort of daily commuter. So I use this every day to go to and from work. I'll also do the occasional, things around town, or I might go on a small road trip here and there, across the state to go see a friend or to go, do something across the state or something like that. And this is fantastic. Not only is it very efficient, so it just handles the discharge of the usage of the battery that much better than something that is a little bit less efficient. And so it just handles the charge that much better to get me to where I need to go with great efficiency. So that helps from a cost perspective, but also just from a sort of, comfort standpoint. There's so many creature comforts built into the Model 3 that are absolutely fantastic. So in my case, all the things that I cared about with any Tesla, I'm able to have with this vehicle. So I love the charging capabilities of it. I love the access to the superchargers. I also love all of the features in the screen that allows me to not only just control the vehicle, also through the app as well, all the integration and functionality there, but also all of the just fun Easter eggs, the toy box, the Tron mode that is new now, the farts that you can do with the car, the light shows, all of the different things that you can do that with the base vehicle, and you're not spending more to be able to do that in like a higher end vehicle. So in my case, the range has been fantastic, so I didn't need to go up to a dual motor, or technically our Performance does have more range than this. So I didn't need to do that. I didn't necessarily need would a Performance be fun to have? Absolutely. There's no questioning that. It is objectively awesome the amount of power that you can get out of a Performance Model 3, even a dual motor model Tesla in general. My wife has a Model Y, dual motor, 0 to 60 in 4 seconds or something like that. Her car is significantly more fun to drive, and that's just sort of the base vehicle. It's not even the Performance. So yeah, there's a lot of fun, objective fun that you can have with a more upgraded Tesla in general, but I didn't necessarily need that. because for one, we already have that with my wife's car being the dual motor. But even if we didn't have her car, I didn't necessarily need the performance features, at least in my particular case. I do love a performance vehicle. I didn't need that as my daily driver. So we have that going for it, which is fantastic. And then also all of just the creature comforts as far as like the seating. I absolutely love the white seats. I'll get to the white seats with kids in a second here, but the seating has just been fantastic. As far as the comfort of the seats, the heated steering wheel, all of these sort of features that you would pay more for in just a regular vehicle, like, you know, a higher end Camry or something like that, you'd have to pay a little bit more to get some of these extra creature comforts. That's just standard in just a regular Model 3, or at least it was in this range. If you get a Model 3 standard, a 2025, 2026 Model 3 standard, that's a different story as far as some of the included creature comforts, but that's not what we're talking about today. So you also get like the Matrix headlights, you get just, you know, power trunk that you're not able to get in like the older 2017, 2018, 2019 Model 3s, you know, so some of the cooler upgrades. The screen also being an AMD processor is much snappier and quicker than like my wife's Intel processor because she has a 2020 Model Y. So there's a lot of really awesome things that are just built into the value of this vehicle that just make it that much better. Plus the used values are just incredible. You know, I feel bad for the depreciation for the original owner, but that paved the way for me to be able to save so much on getting this versus a brand new vehicle. I do want to touch on one other thing about the charging, and then I'll touch on the seats. So the charging, because this is a standard Model 3, or just the rear-wheel drive Model 3, it does have an LFP battery pack. So the difference here is that it is encouraged and actually recommended to charge to 100% at least once a week. So in my case, what I end up doing is just anytime I need to charge, I just plug it in and just charge it to 100%. Whether that's every day I need to charge or once a week, I don't really think too much about it. The actual degradation is, it seems to hold out a lot better and last a lot longer than the regular NMC batteries that most other Teslas have, which is the 80% charge limit for daily driving. And so from that aspect, if I were to get like a dual motor or a performance and charge that to 80%, then my daily driving needs at 80% of an NMC battery is going to be very close to what a 100% charge on an LFP battery pack is. I think it is still a little bit better with the NMC, but it's not that far off. And for us, we did a 1,400-mile road trip in my wife's Model Y, which is an NMC, 80% charge battery there. Of course, we did charge it to 100% when we needed to, but we didn't really need to go past about 50-60% on our road trip the entire time. So we would go to a supercharger, charge it to about 50 to 60%, and then drive for about another hour and a half to 2 hours, get to another supercharger at 10% and just continue that cycle and basically ride that nice charging curve with the fastest speed, so we're able to get to our destination the fastest. In our case, well, actually, I will talk about that road trip in another video coming soon because I was really surprised with the Model Y. There were some things that really surprised me that I would like to share in a more dedicated video. So that's not the purpose of this video. Now, these are all some of the big things that I really like about the Model 3. The last thing that I'll touch on with the seats is the white seats are incredibly easy to clean. So anytime you speak to somebody that is, that hears that you have a family, hears that you have young kids, you can see the car seat right there, and then you say that you have a car with white seats, they immediately think, wow, that's going to be terrible and horrendous to clean. These are vegan leather seats, like 2 degrees of separation from plastic, okay? So these are nothing like impressive. The quality of the seats are just, there's nothing like really, like you just, it's not that impressive, okay? And so because of that, and because it sort of feels like plastic in a sense, it is extremely durable. I use baby wipes to clean up the seats, and if I have a really bad stain, I use a simple, soft, mild interior cleaner and a soft washcloth, basically, and it just picks up everything. So I have literally no stains on these seats, and we have little kids that put their feet up on the seats and sit in like weird positions with all of their like dirt and grime on the bottom of their shoes, just going all over the white seats. As long as I wipe it up relatively soon in the next like 24 hours or something like that, it's not going to leave a mark or a stain. So that's been great. If you're really worried about the condition of the seats, again, they're extremely durable and so easy to clean. But if you're really worried about it, you could ceramic coat the seats, which adds an extra layer of protection that really helps to allow you to sort of wipe off any kind of spill. It just gives an extra layer of protection, extra layer of durability, but is it really needed? Honestly not. Now, as I said, I absolutely love my car. It is my dream car. It handles the road so well. I feel so confident going into corners. Being a rear-wheel drive vehicle, it feels very fun and engaging to drive. Again, is it something like a performance that has the performance capability to go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds? Absolutely not. Does it have, you know, a track mode and different things that you could do with the suspension? Absolutely not. But is it fun to drive on the roads that you would normally drive on nearly 100% of the time unless you're going to a track? Absolutely. So for me, that's what I really cared about, and that's what I really enjoy, is just the great driving dynamics. I love the light steering. I love the feel of the steering wheel. The steering wheel is a good size. It feels very solid and stable going down the road. And of course, if you need to go on a road trip or you have a long commute, Autopilot is fantastic. Not to mention FSD. FSD has been great. That's another thing that I should probably mention, being that this is my dream car, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to get this. FSD has just been absolutely fantastic. I love the Model S. Some of the older Raven Model S's that I was looking at around this price point, I was deciding between the Model S because I like the looks of the Model S a bit more. I like the size of the Model S a bit more. However, some of the weird nuances that you could run into with getting a Model S versus a Model 3, depending on the year and the age and the mileage and all that kind of stuff, you might not have the same processor, the same, you know, high performance AMD processor, depending on the year of the Model S that you're looking at. You may or may not even have the side cameras to be able to not only see all around you for the rear view camera when you're backing up, but also those cameras that are needed for autopilot. So if I were looking at something like a 2016, 2017, 2018 Model S, they may not have autopilot. And so that's one of the things that was really more important to me. Did I want to get something that looked better, or did I want to get something that had autopilot and the capability of FSD? So because of that, I decided to get the Model 3, and it made it such a no-brainer to me, because it just, the reason why it's my dream car is I know that any Model 3 that I'm looking at would have all of the features that I am looking at, or that I'm wanting to have. Now, granted, if I got an older Model 3, I wouldn't have the AMD chipset, so it would be a little bit slower, like my wife's Intel processor. However, I still would be able to do all of the things that I would want to do. It just would be a little bit slower. So all of those things, just kind of bringing this all full circle and making a proper ending here. This has been a fantastic vehicle. It is my dream car. I absolutely love the paint, the interior, the overall just fit and finish of everything has been really solid, at least in my case. And I've really absolutely enjoyed having the Model 3. And if you want my thoughts a little bit more and deeper on the Model 3 and why I chose to get this particular vehicle and this particular year, definitely check out this video right here. Or if you're looking for something a little bit more interesting and you want to see my thoughts on the Tesla Cybertruck, the Cyber Beast, definitely check out this video right here. I'll catch you in either one of these videos. Peace.